Harry Potter, you know what it is. Let's just do it. Full disclaimer, I didn't read. Did you read the books?
No.
I didn't read them either. So, this is two guys who watched the movies but never read the books. So if you're in the comments like, actually in the book it's a lot like better. It's like, well, it wasn't in the movie, so we can't really say anything about that. So sorry, we're just going by them. I just watched these movies all for the first time recently, and I mean, you take them for what they are, and they're nice family fantasy movies.
Yeah.
And as long as you go in with realistic expectations, you'll enjoy these movies. They're fun. They are fun movies.
And we literally binge watched them pretty much back to back.
Yeah.
So they kind of all run together. So it's kind of.
It was kind of like one big movie instead of
Yeah.
8 separate. So it was a little difficult to rank this.
To remember what happened in which movie.
Yeah, especially with the titles like Harry Potter and the Society of the Blind Eye of the whatever. All right. Number 10 is Fantastic Beasts and the Crimes of Grindelwald. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. Even though it's worse, I think Fantastic Beasts 1 is more boring. But this movie is like written poorer, so I feel like I have to put it below. It's so like it's just so terrible. Like barely anything happens. Barely anything of note happens. The movie builds up. The movie's named after Grindelwald, and they build him up as this big threat. But he doesn't do anything. Who does he kill? Who does Grindelwald kill in this movie? He kills a baby. Wow, man, you killed a baby. Wow, you're so strong and powerful and scary. Like, wow, whatever.
I mean, the whole premise of Harry Potter was.
Well, the whole premise is he failed to kill a baby. Oh, I guess that makes Grindelwald a bigger threat than Voldemort. He was able to do it. It was a magic baby, though, to be fair. This movie sucks. It's bad. The main character, what's his name? Like Newt Salamander? What's his name? I don't remember. I'm not joking. I legit don't remember his last name. I actually think it's Salamander. I'm pretty sure. He has like no real effect on the plot. He just kind of stands there, and then the movie like, oh, and they go back to Hogwarts in this one scene, and it's so stupid because they have, first off, Dumbledore is dressed like a normal person, and you're telling me like in 10 years' time he started showing up to work dressed like a homeless man? Really? Showing up in pajamas?
Well, they're probably going to explain that later on in Fantastic Beasts of how he went from corporate to not corporate.
Within the span of 10 years, he went from looking like a normal guy to Bray Wyatt. He looks like, it just looks so stupid. And then Professor McGonagall's there, which makes zero sense. She shouldn't even be born. She's only there just so the people who like Harry Potter can go, oh, I know what that is. Because I watched the movies or read the books. And then there's a scene where like the Quidditch scene flies by, and 100% that scene is only there just so you can see it in the trailer and be like, oh, Quidditch. I know what that is because I know what Harry Potter is. Isn't that cool? Not really. I mean, it doesn't add anything. I don't know why. That Hogwarts scene really makes me mad. And then the girl, Queenie, she turns on to the dark side for like no reason, and then her sister doesn't seem to care. And then the movie's like, hey, you remember the snake? Well, here's her backstory. And it's like, who cares? Like, was anybody watching Harry Potter being like, yeah, this is, I kind of want to know what's up with that snake. What's her story? Like, nobody cares. Like, it's just such a cash grab on Harry Potter. Like the idea of making 5 of these. Like, really? It's just so stupid. Like, the idea of making a Harry Potter prequel, like, you could do that, but you don't do it like this. And there's gonna be 3 more of these. It sucks. I used to think like Titans was the worst thing ever, but I feel like I owe Titans an apology because this movie is really terrible, like on every level. Yeah, that's it. The movie sucks. Fantastic Beasts 2.
All right. Well, I have my number 10 as Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And actually, the movie's not a bad movie. It's just that you go from watching the Harry Potter series, which is actually pretty decent, to go into Fantastic Beasts. It's a different storyline. They're talking. It really is about Fantastic Beasts. It's about the guy.
The first one is.
Yeah, really trying to find all the different animals and stuff, and which is cool if you're into fantastic animals. And it's in the title, so I'm not complaining that that's it is what it said it was. But I wasn't really into that much. So it was okay. It was a little slow, but not terrible. So that's my number 10. I wouldn't call it a bad movie. It just if you're looking for a Harry Potter movie, that's not a Harry Potter movie. It's in the same universe, but it really is about Fantastic Beasts. I'll roll into my number 9 because my number 9 was The Crimes of Grindelwald or whatever.
Grindelwald.
Yeah. I liked it a little bit better than Fantastic Beasts, even though Fantastic Beasts is probably, like you said, better written than the second one. But at least it had some more wizard stuff in there. It wasn't all about the animals. Wizards killing each other, that kind of stuff. Still not very. When you look at the rest of the Harry Potter series, those two movies are not on the same level.
No.
At all. But I liked it better just because it was more wizardy than the Fantastic Beasts one, where it was just straight up, was zoo.
I can see that. I kind of feel the same way about the first Fantastic Beasts. I just think that it's like, I don't really have much to say about it. I just think that it's kind of a boring movie. It's not bad, it's just that I wasn't really into it. Like, it's not like I would look at this and be like, yeah, this movie sucks. It's just like, I'm not really, I just don't feel it. It's just like not my thing. And it's weird because I love the Harry Potter movies, and this was more like, you're right, it was about catching animals and all that. But it is, there are some funny moments. I think the Kowalski guy, he's pretty funny. He's the best character. But yeah, I feel like Fantastic Beasts could have just been this one movie. It didn't need to be stretched out to 5, but this movie, whatever. I don't have much to say about this movie other than I don't really care much for it. It's just kind of there for me. It's just, I watch it and I'm like, okay, whatever. It was just boring, It wasn't I wasn't angry or anything. I was just kind of like, I just didn't care, So what's your number 8, Dad?
My number 8 is Deathly Hallows Part 1.
That's also my number 8.
Yeah, so Deathly Hallows Part 1
is not a bad movie.
It's not. It's just so slow. It's just so slow. And Part 2 is so much better. I mean, even though it's all one movie, I'm sure it was probably shot at the same time and everything.
Yeah.
Part 1's just so slow. I mean, you got to do that building, I guess, but I really feel like they could have made Deathly Hallows. Maybe they couldn't have made it one movie. Maybe they could have. But Part 1, not a bad movie. It's just super slow.
I think there are some really great scenes in Deathly Hallows 1. Like, I think one of the things I like about it is that it's a lot more about Harry and Hermione, which a lot of the other movies didn't really touch upon that much. And I like the idea of Ron getting pissy because he has the Eye of Sauron with him or whatever. But yeah, the biggest problem with this movie is that it's just too long. I don't think that it's like it, and a lot of the scenes they just go on for too long, and you're just kind of sitting there like, okay, whatever. Like it drags a lot, But I still, it's weird because even though I say that, I still do like this movie. I think there's some great scenes. I think the acting is really good, but it just drags, and there's not a lot of really, and the idea of making a movie with these characters where it's just like a character study on them or whatever, it's not a bad one. Like, it's not like I'm opposed to that. It's not like I just want action. It's just that the writing just isn't that interesting. You know what I mean? But I would watch it any day over the Fantastic Beasts movies because Harry, Ron, and Hermione, they're just likable characters, And even though the movie does drag, you love those characters and you want to see what they're up to, even though all they're doing is camping. But yeah, and I think the movie ends pretty well with Dobby's death. Like, it's a good little cliffhanger or whatever to be like,
that's right, Dobby dies in that one.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, whatever, that's sad. Okay. And then you roll into the next one. So yeah, Deathly Hallows 1, not great, but not terrible. So what's your number 7?
Sorcerer's Stone.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I like all the Harry Potter movies. They're all
Me
pretty
too.
good. But Sorcerer's Stone, it's the first one. I mean, yeah, you need it to establish the characters and stuff. But it's very campy. The very beginning is super campy with his step parents or whatever.
I'm not gonna lie. When I first watched that and I saw that first scene, I was like, "Wow, I don't think I like Harry Potter."
Yeah, and at that point, all the actors were young. It was just kicking off. They were still trying to find their footing. So it's not a bad movie. It's fine. It's just a little campy for me.
Yeah, I have it higher on my list. But my number 7 is Chamber of Secrets. Again, I like all the Harry Potter movies. If I would honestly, I would like like he said, we watched them all back to back to back. I would do that marathon again because I really do like these movies. But this movie feels, out of all of them, like the most useless in terms of plot. Like, I know it sets up Voldemort and everything, and it gets more into Harry and Ron or whatever, but when you get down to it, I feel like you could take a lot of this movie out and just put it into other movies. You know what I mean? But this movie's not bad. It's fun. I think it's, it's enjoyable. I don't have much to say about it. It's just kind of like, it's a fun movie, but I just, compared to a lot of the other ones, it's just not, like, it doesn't reach the highs that a lot of the other movies in the series do, at least for me. But I do like this movie. I just think that it's a little underwhelming compared to the other ones.
Actually, I have Chamber of Secrets a lot higher.
Really?
Mm-hmm. What's your next one?
6.
What do you have for 6?
Order of the Phoenix.
Really?
Yeah.
We got the Prisoner of Azkaban.
Whoa! What? Really?
Yeah.
Everyone I ever see that ranks the movies puts that at number 1.
Prisoner of Azkaban?
Azkaban.
Azkaban?
They say that like 8 times in every movie, and you forgot the name.
What was that? Remember in Thor Ragnarok where he's all, where are you from? And he's like, Asgard. He's like, Asperg. That's what I always think of when I think of Azkaban. I'm like, Azkaban? But anyways, yeah.
Why do you have Prisoner of Azkaban at number 6?
I mean, what was it about?
That was the one where they went back in time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said expecto patronum. That's like an iconic moment.
Yeah. All that time travel. I don't know. A lot of time traveling around. I don't know. It was alright.
That's it? That's all you have to say?
What
That's
would
one of
you
the
do?
best ones.
I mean, they travel around a lot. I mean, I don't know. Who dies in that one?
What?
Does anybody die in that one?
I don't remember.
The guy turned into a wolf in that one? Is that
Yeah,
right?
he turned to a wolf.
Yeah.
Also, I think it's weird that the guy whose name is Remus Lupin just happens to turn to a werewolf one day. Isn't that kind of kooky?
Yeah, that's why it's so high on my list. Alright.
Anyways, yeah, my number 6 is Order of the Phoenix. I can't wait for the Harry Potter fans in the comment section. Like, oh, actually, like 6 people died in Prisoner of Azkaban. You just weren't paying attention. Okay, number 6 is Order of the Phoenix.
I have that higher up.
I do like this movie, and you know what? I remember I see a lot of Harry Potter fans don't really like the book that this comes from, which is interesting. But this movie's good because I like the villain a lot. I think she's I think she's probably my favorite villain, other than, I guess, does Malfoy count?
I mean, he's kind of a villain.
Well, if you don't count Malfoy, then, like, not McGonagall, what's her name?
He's more like a jerk than a villain.
Yeah.
It's like a Flash Thompson.
He's a villain in, like, the last few.
Kind of.
Kind of. But anyway, I forgot the woman's name. Umbridge. Dolores Umbridge. She is, if I messed up that name, oh my god. She is awesome. She reminds me a lot of Stormfront from The Boys, other than she is racist, isn't she?
I don't know if she's racist, but she's
She was like
crazy.
wizard racist, wasn't she?
She was just crazy.
I can't remember. But she reminds me of her because she's very like cheery and polite, but she's also really sadistic and evil, and I like that in a villain. And she's just she's the best part of the movie. And I also think when Dumbledore and Voldemort have that fight, I love how there's no music, and I love how the sound design is. It's a really cool fight. And the movie, this is like the movie that really tells you like, hey man, we're in the end game. This is where things are really gonna start happening. And then the next one's like a romantic comedy. But like at the end of this movie, I was like, wow, damn, stop the presses. Harry Potter is getting intense. And then the next movie happened. But yeah, Order of Phoenix is really good.
We're on 5?
Yeah,
I got Half-Blooded Prince.
that's my number 5 too.
Why do you have it?
I have it because even though I do really like it, I think that the biggest issue with it is that the first half and the second half feel like 2 different movies. Now, again, I didn't read the book, so take what I say with a grain of salt, but apparently the book was a lot different, and the book was a lot better, and a lot of people who like the book don't really care much for the movie, but this movie I thought was pretty good. I think the first half is I feel like it goes back to Sorcerer's Stone, where it's about the kids, and it's about like the school, and it's very campy, and the love potion and all that, and that's fine, that's cool. But the second half is like where things really start happening. Snape kills Dumbledore, and it gets really emotional, and you're like, oh, this is so. And then it ends with like, even though the 5th one ended like that too, the 6th one ends like the next one's not going to be in Hogwarts. The next one is when we're going to go look for those Horcruxes, and it's gonna be crazy. And yeah, I do like this movie. I feel like if I read the book, maybe I wouldn't like it as much. But yeah, this movie's good. Whoops.
All right.
What do you have to say about Half Blood Prince?
I mean, it was cool. I say Dumbledore dies. That's always good. You know.
Dumbledore's such a useless piece of crap in these movies.
You know, it's weird because he's so powerful, but he never really does anything.
He fights Voldemort in that one movie. That's about it.
Kind of. You know, I felt like he could have taken Voldemort down.
I would agree with that. I feel like Dumbledore is kind of useless. He doesn't really do much.
Number 4, I got Order of the Phoenix.
Number 4, I got Sorcerer's Stone.
And Order of the Phoenix because that's the same reason you had. You liked it. The villain. The villain's awesome.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Because she plays like a nice person, but you can tell that she's not. Like, her niceness is so fake that it makes her really evil and very sadistic. And so I think it's a good movie. I like the villain a lot, and that's really what drives your story. If you have a good villain, you have a good story. If you have a bad villain, then you don't.
My number 4, Sorcerer's Stone. I agree with you. It's very campy. It's very, I don't want to say kiddie, but it's definitely a kids movie. A lot of the kids, I gotta say, for child actors, they're not bad. I mean, I think they're not amazing, but I think they're good. If this movie sucked, then Harry Potter, they wouldn't have made these movies, and it would have just been the books, and Harry Potter wouldn't have been such a global phenomenon. But I think this movie's really fun. You know, it's a good introduction. It's a good little. I like how they incorporated Harry's origin and how they introduced everyone. I think they did a really good job at introducing everyone because I feel like everyone, like Malfoy and Snape and Hermione and Ron, everybody I feel like got their own scene, which I think is really important. And yeah, it's just a really fun movie. I mean, it's not going to make you like rethink your life or anything, but I think it's just a really fun movie. But yeah, when you compare it to the later ones, it's a lot more kid friendly, and that's because it was the first one. But yeah, it's a good movie.
Well, Sorcerer's Stone feels like a standalone movie when you look at the other movies that are kind of like intertwined.
I guess so.
I guess because they didn't really know if it was going to take off or not.
Maybe, yeah, and you know what?
So it has a little bit of different tone. I feel like.
You are right. I can agree with that. Number 3.
My number 3 is Chamber of Secrets. I know you have that up lower on your list. But I liked it because it felt like they looked at the first movie and they said, okay, here's what worked and here's what didn't work. And Chamber of Secrets is also very standalone. I mean, yeah, it's part of the Harry Potter series.
Honestly, the first 3 are pretty standalone.
Yeah, but it doesn't really feed into the rest of it. I mean, they incorporate those first movies into the later movies, but they didn't really have to. Yeah. But I liked it. It had a good plot. I liked that they had to solve a mystery and they had to fight a big snake and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
Actually, Chamber of Secrets is the one where they introduced the wizard equivalent of a racial slur when Malfoy calls Hermione a mudblood, which is just really funny to me. It's just really funny. that's all I had to say. Honestly, if you ask me, Muggle sounds more like a racial slur than if somebody called me a Muggle and I didn't know what Harry Potter was, I'd be like, whoa, man, If someone called me a mudblood, I'd be like, okay, weirdo.
That's weird.
My number 3 is Deathly Hallows 2. I like good endings. I like when things can end things in a satisfactory way, like Avatar or Breaking Bad or Avengers Endgame. Those are good endings and they're satisfying. And I think this one I can put in that group pretty nicely. I love the final battle. It takes place in Hogwarts and it's really nice because, especially for me, I mean you too, but you'd already seen them before. But it was really cool going through all these movies back to back to back and seeing all the kids grow up and seeing Hogwarts and becoming really attached to it and then seeing it just get demolished by Voldemort and his group. And it's just really emotional. There's so much stuff happening that I didn't cry or anything, but I got really into it. And by the time it ended, I was just like, man, Harry Potter. I really like Harry Potter. I'm really glad I watched these movies. So I just like it when something ends and you're like, I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I experienced that. The biggest issue with this movie is that the deaths are really rushed. I don't know how it is in the book. I'm sure it's better. But Fred dies, and I was like, whoa, Fred is dead? And then the movie's like, yeah, but we have to move on. Sorry. And then Lavender, when she died, you had to point it out to me. I didn't even know it was her because it was such a fast shot. Maybe that's just my fault, but Yeah, that's the biggest issue with the movie is that I feel like the deaths should have had more time to marinate. Like, especially Fred. Fred is such a like a fun character, and you just kill him, and he's just kind of he's almost like a background shot. Like, oh yeah, Fred's dead. Anyways, back to the story. But yeah, I like this movie a lot. It's very fun. Well, you know what I mean, and it's a good ending.
Yeah, I like it also. What are we on, number 2?
Well, did you say number 3?
Yeah, cheers.
Okay,
Cheers.
yeah, number 2.
My number 2 is Goblet of Fire. I just like the whole competition thing where they're going up against that all-girls school and that school of guys. I guess I don't know if they
It was
were
like a military
Russian
school.
or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was like a boot camp.
But it was cool. It was cool to watch them compete against other schools. It kind of grew the universe because you before that you thought there was just Hogwarts, and then you see that there's other schools as well where people are learning wizardry and witchcraft, that kind of stuff. So I thought it was cool. I like the world building. There were some real world stakes. They actually killed off one of the wizards in that.
Yeah, I didn't expect that actually.
In the maze. So I really like that one. It finally had some actual consequences, and some you really felt that people could die, in the series. So it really became more of an adult series for me in Goblet of Fire. So I liked it.
Yeah, my number 2 is Prisoner of Azkaban. I think this is the funniest Harry Potter movie. I think the jokes in this one are really good. Like, I was laughing a lot. But also, I think this movie is just really, it just has so many great moments, like because the Expecto Patronum moment, I mean, you've heard this before, but it's really great because Harry's like, nah, someone's going to save me. Someone's going to do it, so I'll just stand here. And Hermione's like, nah, I don't think anyone's going to save you. So I think that's when Harry, like, realizes, like, no one's going to, eventually I'm going to get to a point where no one's going to protect me, and I have to be my own, I have to protect myself. And I think it's a really good moment for his character. And it's just a great moment. The time travel stuff is super fun. It's a very entertaining movie. There's a lot of really cool shots. Like later in the movie, you already know this, but later in the movie, Hermione's like, yeah, well, I use this time travel thing, and that's how I study more or whatever. But earlier, there's a shot where they show all the kids. Hermione's not there, and they like pan through something, and then Hermione's there, and then Ron's like, you weren't here just a second ago, and she's like, yeah, I was. And it's cool because later in the movie you're like, oh, because she was time traveling, that's why she wasn't in the shot, but then she's in the shot later, and it's the same, like it's one take. And there's a lot of one takes in this movie where the actors have to memorize all their lines, which you gotta appreciate. And it's just a really great movie. It's a lot of people have this number 1. I don't, but I understand why. It's one of the best ones. But my number 1 is Goblet of Fire. That's the one I like the most. But I'll let you explain what your number 1 first.
Deathly Hallows Part 2.
Yeah.
Mostly because of the same reason the Goblet of Fire. There's actual consequences. People actually die.
Yeah.
Even Harry dies. He comes back alive.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Because of Gandalf the White. I mean, Dumbledore the White.
Gandalf the White.
But I mean, either way, people die. There's real world consequences. You don't know how it's going to turn out because it's the last movie, so they could actually. I mean, they probably won't, but they could have the bad guy win.
Yeah.
So I liked it because you didn't know what was going to happen. You didn't know who was going to live and die because with the last movie you could kill off like Hermione or anybody and still wrap up the storyline. You don't have to follow the books and the movies. So that's my favorite movie just because of the unpredictability of it.
Yeah, Deathly Hallows 2 is really good. My number 1's Goblet of Fire. Now I gotta say, I love Robert Pattinson. I think he's a great actor. I've never seen Twilight, which I probably should, but he's a great actor. And when he showed up in this movie, I swear, I had no idea Robert Pattinson was in Harry Potter. So when he showed up, I was like, whoa, Robert Pattinson's in these movies? Awesome. And then he dies. But he's a good character. And I just think this movie is the most fun. I think this is where the kids are at their best. This is the first movie where Ron gets really pissy with Harry, and you see their friendship sort of have their issues. And, it's just a really great movie for the trio. At its core, Harry Potter is about Harry, Ron, and Hermione. That's it. That's what the series is about. It's about those 3. And I think this movie is one of the best for those 3 in particular. I think this movie has a lot of great moments and scenes, and I do love the world building, like you said, how they introduced. I didn't even think about there would be more wizard schools in Hogwarts. Honestly, I thought Hogwarts was the only school around, which is stupid now that I think about it. But it was cool to see other schools out there. And I think this movie has a really compelling story. And this is the first movie where Voldemort actually shows up. Technically, he shows up in the other ones. But this is the first movie where the real Voldemort is finally here. And he kills Cedric Diggory. And you're like, whoa, holy cow. it really gave you that Game of Thrones feel. Like, wow, they can kill anybody.
Right.
And this is the first one where you realize that Harry Potter is one long story, because the first three, well, maybe not the third one, but the first two are standalone movies. You can watch them and then move on with your life. But this is the first one where they really start turning Harry Potter into a saga. And that's what I really like. I really enjoy this movie. I used to have Deathly Hallows 2 at 1, and maybe if I watch them all again, I'll switch. Maybe I'll be like, no, actually, Chamber of Secrets is the best one. But that's about all I got to say about these movies. I love these movies. I've never read the books. I will eventually. But yeah, I love these movies. I think they're fun. I think they're enjoyable. I think they have great characters. I love the world. Even in Fantastic Beasts 1 and 2, even though I don't really like those movies, I do love some of the stuff that they add to the world. They go outside of Hogwarts and they show you, America, and that's really cool. And Harry Potter is just such a lovable series. It's just like, they're fun movies, and I think anybody can enjoy them. So yeah, that's Harry Potter. That's what I have to say about it. Those are my rankings, and yeah.
Yeah, pretty good series.
Bye.